Hey guys, today I'm going to be making a self-love oil. You can use this oil in any of your spell work, to anoint candles, anoint yourself, as a bath oil, a body oil, anything you want to use it for. It uses flowers and crystals with loving properties. You can use dried or fresh herbs in this recipe, but I just happen to use a lot of fresh as I have a ton of magical flowers growing in my garden right now. So let's get started! The first flower we're going to be using are orchid flowers, and I picked these from my garden. But there's many types of different orchid flowers you can use, and these represent beauty, self-expression, a goddess energy, love, and femininity. We're also going to be using camellia flowers, and they come in a variety of different colors. I just happen to have some white ones growing in my garden right now, and these represent worthiness, being adored and admired. They're also representative of good luck and perfection. Jasmine is a very feminine sacred herb, often associated with the high priestess in the tarot. It helps you build inner confidence and see the beauty within yourself. It also gives psychic protection and cleanses the aura. I chose to use yellow jasmine because yellow imparts confidence, positivity, optimism, joy, and it carries a powerful sun energy to energize and uplift you. But of course you can use the traditional white jasmine as well. For the iris, I used a flower from my orris iris. This is considered the most magical and desirable variety, but of course, you can use whatever you have access to. It enhances love and helps you draw out deep-seated subconscious issues to help you heal. It is ruled by the moon, which aligns you with your inner truth and increases your intuition. It encourages inner growth so that you may find love within yourself and for others. Pansies also come in a lot of different colors, and they're often used in love potions to attract love into your life. They give you courage, opens up your heart chakra, and they're also used in a lot of love divination, but they're most well known for healing your heart or heartache. So if you're going through any difficult issues with heartbreak, it really helps with that. Lavender is used in so many different recipes and spell work, but of course most people know lavender for peace, relaxation, stress relief. But lavender carries the element of air, so it has a lot to do with a clear mind, relieving tension, but it's also good for attracting love, and it's used in a lot of love and beauty spells. Ah, rose, of course, the ultimate love flower. These we're going to be using for self-love, for beauty, and also pink carries a more feminine energy, so I chose to use pink over red, which is more for romantic, lusty, seductive energy. This provides a gentle emotional healing, and also roses carry a very high vibration. So we're also going to be using some pink rosebuds, and these ones I picked in my garden last summer, and these are super fragrant. But you can of course use the more traditional rosebuds you can get at your natural food store or your wholesale suppliers or your herb shops that you might have in town. And just like rose petals, they're very yin, feminine energy, representative of beauty, fertility, self-love, healing, romance. Vanilla, while used in a lot of love work, is also great for relaxation, its calming properties. It has an extremely comforting energy that helps relieve anxiety. It also raises spiritual vibrations and helps sweeten the loving energy between you and your family, friends, or partner. The three crystals we're going to be using in this oil are rhodochrosite, rose quartz, and kunzite. And rhodochrosite is known as the stone of the compassionate heart. It teaches us self-compassion and unconditional love for ourselves and others. It helps us heal old wounds and brings us true happiness and joy. Rose quartz, which most of you are probably familiar with, is the ultimate love stone and the stone of unconditional love. It's a very gentle healer, helping us heal old trauma, whether that might be emotional or physical. It teaches us compassion, peace, and seeing the beauty within ourselves. Kunzite is a beautiful, clear, purpley pink stone, which is one of my favorites. It's known as the stone of emotion. It helps us balance our heart and mind, and it helps open up your heart and allows the walls around your heart to come down to truly love yourself and others. You're going to want to be using almond oil because it's a very light, almost odorless, soft oil that can be used on your body in case you might want to use this as a body oil, but you can also feel free to use grapeseed or sunflower, any other light type of oil. Using essential oils is totally optional, but if you wanted, you could use some lavender, some ylang ylang, jasmine, or even some rose absolute if you're feeling fancy. And the last thing you'll need is a glass bottle with a cork stopper or a lid. And here I'm just using a piece of dried lavender to cleanse the bottle, which you'll want to do to cleanse any energies that might have come from somebody that touched it, whether you're getting this at the store or you've had it lying around and a lot of people have been grabbing it. So just make sure to cleanse it both physically and energetically. You can use incense, sage, cedar, whatever you have, but I just like to use lavender. Begin adding all of your ingredients, remembering to enchant them however you feel comfortable enchanting them, whether you put your hands over them, whether you draw a sigil or a pentagram, or however you typically enchant your herbs or ingredients, and then just place them one by one. You can shove the whole thing in there or just do petal by petal. And again, since I'm using fresh for the purposes of this video, I didn't wilt them down, so they look pretty fresh. But when you're doing it at home, just make sure to let them wilt down a little bit, because the iris and the camellia in particular have a lot of water. And if you're going to use these, I would suggest that maybe you strain them after a couple of weeks just to prevent rotting as much as possible. And then you can put back the dried herbs if you like that look floating in the oil. And now do the same thing with the orchids, just enchant them, repeating any words that you would like to say. You could say self-love, you can say love, or anything that will remind you of the loving energies you want this oil to hold. And again, I used these little orchids, but if you have some bigger ones at home, or you can even get some at the grocery store, those will also be fine to use. And now I'll be adding in the jasmine flowers, and these yellow ones aren't that scented, not like the white ones. You can get the star jasmine or the Arabian jasmine. There's so many different varieties, different beautiful varieties, but this is just what I had right now in season. The white ones don't really come until spring, and they're used for their energetic properties really, so the essential oils is what's going to give this oil its scent. And now we're adding the pansies, and I chose purple because that's what I had, but if you want to use a red or a white or even a pink, you can use that as well. And of course, I didn't enchant every single item. I was just showing you guys how to do that earlier. I did the enchanting off camera, but you could do it ingredient by ingredient as you place it in the bottle, or some people like to just do it at the very end. Whatever works for you, whatever you like to do. And now I'm adding the camellia. I'm just gonna be adding a couple of petals. I'm not gonna add the whole flower just because my bottle isn't big enough to accommodate all of it, but if you have a larger bottle that you want to use, you can put the whole thing in there just as it is. And now I'm adding in some rosebuds, and I'm only using 3 for this oil, but if you like to work with magical numbers, you can add 3, 7, 13, whatever number that you feel called to use is fine. And we'll also add in our rose petals. These are some pink rose petals that I got organic, and you can add as much as you want depending on the size of your bottle. I just added in maybe a tablespoon of petals. If you have red, you can also use those. I just like the energy that these beautiful pink ones give off, but it's up to you. Roses have so many different uses, and in this oil they don't just help promote self-love, but they're also going to bring you a sense of joy, calm, luck, and protection. Now we're going to be adding our lavender, and I also use just about a tablespoon in this. You can add as much as you like. This is a very fragrant flower, so if you wanted to add more to give it that naturally scented aroma in your oil, you can feel free to add more. And I'm just enchanting these now, showing you a different way that you can do it, but of course use whatever way you feel comfortable with. Lavender is also one of those what I like to call an all-purpose herb. It's used not only for love, but also for cleansing and clearing, protection, healing, And because of its purple color, it's often associated with the opening of your third eye, gaining clarity. Now, for adding the vanilla beans, you can cut it with a pair of scissors or just tear it into a couple pieces. And I'm adding 2, no particular reason, I just had these 2 little pieces left over. If you want to use a whole vanilla bean, feel free to do so. Vanilla beans are just a pretty expensive ingredient, and the energy is the same whether it's a tiny little piece or the whole bean, so use what you like. And now I'm just enchanting it once I'm adding all my ingredients. Again, it's up to you, however you prefer to do it. And now I'm going to add in the 3 crystals, and as you can see, the shape changed up a little bit because those bigger pieces wouldn't fit the neck of the bottle, so I just got some rhodochrosite chips instead of that bigger piece you saw earlier. You don't have to use a big piece, you can even use a tiny little chip, carries the same energy. I just really like the way these look inside the bottle. And doesn't this look so beautiful? Mixing flowers to me is the most magical thing you can do. Just seeing them all in there, all the different colors, the dried ones, the fresh ones, they're just so beautiful. And now I'm going to be adding in lavender and jasmine, and all the oils I showed you in the beginning, they all blend very well together. So if you wanted to use all 4 of those, or even add some orange or neroli fragrance, those all blend amazing. But I'm just using the lavender and the jasmine because those are just the fragrances I felt like using. I would say I used maybe 5 or 6 drops each, but you know, you can add or remove depending on the scent you like. I've already enchanted my almond oil off on the side, and now add your almond oil. Just make sure that however much oil you're using, that you cover all the herbs, especially when you're using fresh herbs. You want to make sure that the oil is completely covering all the flowers. You don't want any risk of rotting your oil, especially when you're using it for magical purposes. You don't want to go through all that effort and energy just to have it go to waste. And this is the finished product. Look how gorgeous this looks. And that vanilla at the bottom is gonna give it that wonderful scent and all the energy of the flowers. So I suggest you leave this on your altar or even on a windowsill to absorb the energy of the sun and the moon. Just leave it for a full moon cycle, I would say. And to finalize this oil, we're going to be using a pink candle. You can use a taper candle, or a votive candle like this, a little tea light candle, even a birthday candle. Whatever you have will work just fine. And I'm just using the back end of the lavender wand to carve in love into my candle 3 times. You can also carve your name in something like bring me self-love. And typically I would set this on top of the bottle, but since my bottle has a crystal on top, I'm just setting it next to it, and that's totally fine. You can do either way, it's gonna work just as well. And just light the candle and let this sit until the candle burns down, and then your oil is complete. And like I mentioned earlier, I would let this oil sit on your altar or in a windowsill for about a full moon cycle, so 30 days. But you can use this oil after 3 days minimum, preferably a week, if you need to use it for something, for some spell work. But if you have the opportunity, I would let it sit for a full month. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you liked this video, and if you have any other suggestions on other types of videos you'd like to see, any other recipes you want to see, any oils or powders or any other kinds of spells, feel free to leave a comment down below and let me know if you like this video. And again, thanks for watching.